Now let's apply and use the rules of moles to answer questions. These are the three rules of moles. We previously called them rule number 1, just to make things easy, rule number 2, and rule number 3. Quick revision, rule number 1 is basically used for anything, solids, liquids, or gases, because you can find the mass of anything. Rule number 2 is suitable for solutions, okay, because it's the one that contains concentration. Rule number 3 is suitable for gases only, because this is a constant of a gas. 1 mole of any gas contains 24 decimeter cubed. You have to consider the units very precisely because the rules have to be employed using the units, the proper units. For example, the volume here in the rule of gas has to be in decimeter cubed, while here in the rule number 2, the rule of solutions, the volume has to be in centimeter cubed, and then you divide by 1000. The mass here has to be in grams. The concentration here has to be in moles per decimeter cubed. Now I'm going to show you a page of the questions that we are going to practice, and then you can maybe take a snapshot of it, copy them, or if you already have the notes, they are on page 102. Okay, these are the questions, because later we are going to just say the number of the questions and start answering. So, question number 1. How many moles are in 25 grams of water? So I see grams, I directly go to rule number 1 because it's the rule that contains the mass, and grams is a unit of mass. So calculate the MR of water, which is the mass of hydrogen is 1. We have 2 atoms plus oxygen 16. So this will give me 18. So now the MR of water is 18. So if I apply rule number 1, moles equals mass over MR. Now I have the mass given in the question. I just calculated the MR from the periodic table, so it's 25 divided by 18, 1.388 moles. This is question number 1. Let's move to question number 2. How many grams in 4.5 moles of lithium oxide? So the given is the formula of lithium oxide and the fact that it has 4.5 moles. And what is the unknown here? The mass. What is the mass of this number of moles? Of course, I also go to rule number 1, which requires calculating the MR of lithium oxide. It's going to be 30. So, moles equals mass over MR. We already have the moles, so the mass is going to be moles divided by moles multiplied by the MR, and that would be 135 grams. Okay, question number 5. Questions 3 and 4, do it on your own. Question 5 says, calculate the number of moles of 25 centimeter cubed of 0.1 mole per decimeter cubed, and that would be the concentration, okay, of hydrochloric acid. So I see volume and concentration, I directly go to rule number 2, which is moles equals concentration times volume divided by 1000. And that would be 0.1 times 25 divided by 1000 equals 0.0025. So that's the number of moles in this amount of HCl with this concentration. Question number 6. What is the concentration in mole per decimeter cubed of 4.25 grams per decimeter cubed of sodium hydroxide? So you are given 4.25 gram per decimeter cubed, and you want the unit in mole per decimeter cubed. In the previous video we discussed how to convert these two units, and he is talking about sodium hydroxide. So you have to calculate the MR of sodium hydroxide, because this is what the unit conversion is about. It would be 23 plus 16 plus 1, which is 40. Okay, and you have to divide by the MR to get this value. It's going to be 0.096. You move from this unit to that unit by multiplying by the MR, and you get the mole per decimeter cubed from this unit by dividing by the MR. Question number 7. It's interesting because you get to start using more than one rule in a question. The question says, what is the mass of 10 decimeter cubed of oxygen gas? Now I need mass. I directly go to rule number 1. But if I go to rule number 1 to calculate mass, I don't have the number of moles, so I'd be having two unknowns. So let's try doing that. I need to calculate mass, so I go to rule number 1. I say moles equals mass over MR. I need the mass, it's the unknown. I have the MR from the periodic table, but I don't have the number of moles. So what do? Do I have a given that could help me calculate the number of moles? Because I can calculate the number of moles of using any of the rules and then put it in the other one. So yes, I have the volume of a gas here, so I go to rule number 3. So your main goal when you see these questions is calculate number of moles using any given for any rule, even if what you need is something else. So moles equals volume over 24. Do you have a volume? Yes, 10 over 24. That would be 0.416. Now I have number of moles that I can use in this rule. So moles equals mass over MR. Now I have this and I have that. So that would make me able to calculate the mass, which is the MR multiplied by the number of moles. MR of oxygen is 32. So the mass would be 32 divided by the 0.416. That would be 13.31 gram.